$50,000 into the outdoor area. We do think the indoor kitchen needs a little work too. And then we compare well homes that are about 1.4, 1.45 million. That work for us for the place. And we think it's a good deal. The market is changing a little bit right now. Our money's good.
I'm curious how you came up with your number of 1.4.
I looked at a couple of houses.
Hi, everybody. It's Chef Night.
Welcome. We're excited to be back.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's been about a month, and we're super excited to see what we have cooking for all of you tonight. And we have a great market update coming, a couple of new things that we want to tell you about. So let's start with what are we making tonight?
I think it's chicken. The best kind. The best kind of chicken is right. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a pan-seared chicken, and we're going to make a pan sauce with that.
Wonderful.
So the focus today is cooking all in one pot. We're going to do some balsamic glazed roasted Brussels sprouts. Yeah. To serve right on the side of that. And then we're going to make a Pear Martini.
Which I'm really excited about that. Not a big martini, but I love the flavor of pears and a little bit of sugar in there. So we're really excited to taste that as well. Would you call this French, American cuisine?
So with this is going to be more like a traditional French style cuisine. So it's just going to be searing chicken, finishing it, pulling it out, letting it rest, and creating a sauce inside the same pan. So we are going to create fond, which is sugar,
right,
that is released from the chicken breast. That's going to allow us to flavor our sauce for our chicken breast.
I'm fond of that.
Are you fond of that?
Awesome.
You guys get that one?
Perfect. So mise en place.
Mise
What
en
do we need
place?
to do that?
Let me have a way you guys tell us what's going on.
So first and foremost, we want to make sure that our oven's on at 425.
Okay.
Nice and hot and going. I have some simple syrup going. What I did is I just diced up some of our pears, half of a pear,
Okay.
equal parts sugar, equal parts water, right? So we're making a simple syrup. All we're doing is making a pear simple syrup.
So pear, sugar, water.
Yep.
Very simple.
Yep. And then I added vanilla to this.
Okay.
So our recipe calls for vanilla syrup. We're just making it all in one. What we want to do is we want to reduce this down and fortify that pear flavor as quick and as fast as possible. So as soon as we get to a rolling boil like that, we're going to want to turn it down so that it simmers. So when we're ready to go, see how we got a nice simmer there? It's not at a rolling boil.
Right, right.
Right. So we're releasing the sugars of the pear and we're dissolving the granulated sugar that we've added to there to make the simple syrup. We will want to try to fortify that as fast as possible, but we want it to cool a little bit so that way when we add it to our martini, it's not going to melt all the ice that we're adding to it, right? So it will come to room temperature before we do that. I got a skillet here. You can use just a normal fry pan. Today we're going to use a cast iron for our sake because I love using this guy because it retains heat so evenly. So it distributes from the flame all the way up to the side. So when we sear our chicken breast, we're going to get a good sear.
So what I love about a cast iron skillet is that they're multi-purpose. You can use it for so many things. And it really is one of the least expensive pans, really.
Yeah, when you get into the pan pricing,
Right.
It sounds expensive, but it's so versatile,
It
right?
is.
The reason I like to use this so much is that way you can just do this.
Right. It goes straight into the
Right
oven.
into
You
the
worry
oven.
about the handle. It's other than it's hot.
Right, remember that it's
Yeah.
hot when you pull it out. It's most of the time you got to remember that it's hot after you pull it out because you want to go to grab it right after that. But the reason I like to use it is because it's heavy gauge and it, like I said, it distributes the heat evenly so that way if we're searing on this side or this side, we're going to get a good sear. And just like when we did the steaks a couple months back, we want to create that sear just so that it seals in all the juices. So it's only cooking not even a quarter of an inch on
the outside.
both sides, yeah.
Perfect.
I got 2 cookie sheets, one's for our chicken, because we got more people to feed tonight than you guys do at home. The other one's for our Brussels sprouts, where I was lying on the floor because it's
Easier to clean.
easy cleanup.
We like
Very
that.
good.
All right, then what else do we do over here?
So with all of our spices that we've done for our chicken breast, I've put them all together. I do a good mix, get it nice incorporated as much as you can.
You did everything but one.
So this one is our Montreal. This is going to be for our Brussels sprouts.
Okay, gotcha.
So our, let's see, our paprika, our garlic, our onion powder, and our oregano, and our cayenne, our black pepper, and our salt
Okay, perfect.
is all right there.
All together,
Mhm.
like it.
Our Brussels sprouts, if you don't have these halved already, if they come like such, you just kind of want to remove the outer leaves. What I normally do is I'll just take it and cut it in half.
Okay.
If there's long stems like this, we want to remove that because this is hardy. This is very
Right.
fibrous like broccoli, so it's going to take a lot longer for this to cook. And it's not what we're looking for per
Right,
se.
we'd like them all evenly cooked without having something.
So
that's
if
hard.
there's some that have more stem to it, you can go ahead and chop that off so that it looks more like this,
Gotcha.
just like you would your broccoli florets, right? So all I've done is I've cleaned them up. Any loose ones, I remove any loose ones that are just here. As we stir these in the bowl, we're gonna get some. The reason we don't want to leave too many loose leaves is they'll burn as they're in the oven. So we want to refrain from that. You'll think like, oh my goodness, what's burning in there?
Right,
It'll just be one of these guys and not the whole tray itself. Okay?
perfect.
Our chicken breast, I got our chicken breast cleaned, ready to go. What we've done is we've taken a breast. Some are whole because of the thickness. If you see this thickness here is about the same thickness as this one that I've butterflied. So I've taken the 2 breasts that were together and I've cut it lengthwise this way, so that way we can have some even pieces of chicken for when we sear and we continue to cook.
Yep, I saw a couple of the pieces of chicken that you guys got looked pretty big too, so you might want to make that a little bit smaller like we're saying. 'Cause
And the
it's
reason
a
being
lot.
is the cook time.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
so we want to make sure that we're not overcooking or undercooking, and that all of our chickens can cook evenly together. So for us, we're gonna sear and finish in the oven just because we feed more than what you guys feed at home. But in theory, when you do this, I sear pretty much all the proteins I ever make. So whether it's pork chops, steaks, chicken, salmon, I mean, when we did the halibut, same concept.
Yeah.
I always sear and finish in the oven. When we finish in the oven, we get a evenly heat source from all the way around the protein. If we're cooking continuously on the stovetop, it's only coming from one side.
Right,
So you have to monitor and you have to pay closer attention to that so one side doesn't cook more than the other one.
gotcha.
Let me turn this simple syrup down a
Whoa.
little bit. That's all right. Before we make caramel here.
Yeah. Make
So-
sure you keep an eye on it, in other words.
Yeah, you don't want it to boil over. You can see how thick it's getting,
Yeah,
which is
that's
good.
all.
We want that syrup and we're getting that pear flavor extracted into our simple syrup.
Which is fantastic.
Yep, so we'll
Gonna make
keep
it
an eye
better.
on that guy.
All right, so how are you guys doing at home? Are you guys caught up to us now so we can all work together?
Working, rock and rolling. All right. So first and foremost, our Brussels sprouts are going to take the longest
Okay.
in the oven. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take some olive oil, some honey, and our balsamic vinegar. We're going to want to drizzle our olive oil in here, about a tablespoon. We're going to want to put a little balsamic vinegar in there as well. About the same. That was probably a half of a tablespoon. And then we're going to want to sprinkle about half of our Montreal season on there. Now remember that this is high in salt content, right? We want to be careful when we're cooking that we don't over salt anything because you
Absolutely.
can always add salt later on
Right.
the table, right? I notice in my line of work, people automatically go to the salt shaker before they ever taste it. So keeping low sodium in the diet is very, very crucial to live a healthy lifestyle.
Especially in this heat too. It's better to drink or have less salt.
Yeah, it retain that liquid, which
Mhm.
doesn't allow you to burn it off as fast as you would like, right? Heart health.
Yes, heart healthy.
So we're gonna give our Brussels sprouts a good toss here. And the reason we've divided the Montreal is we're gonna sprinkle the rest over once we put them onto our sheet pan. So we're just gonna get a good toss in there and we'll go right to the sheet pan here.
I love how simple that is, and these spices and what were the olive oil and the balsamic is something that could go on other veggies as well. It's a
Yeah.
very easy thing with the Montreal seasoning to kind of use with probably broccoli, even a cauliflower.
Yeah, and another really, really good additive to Brussels sprouts is soy sauce. So replace the balsamic vinegar
With
with
the
soy
soy.
sauce and you have another delicious dish. It all depends on what you're going with, right? This Montreal seasoning just pairs very, very well with the bitterness of this.
Right.
So that way it really enhances that flavor of the Brussels sprout. And of course, if you wanted to toss it with bacon fat and bacon bits, go right ahead because, you know, bacon tastes good with everything, right?
Pretty much everything. And
So-
you see a lot of Brussels sprouts served with bacon.
That's typically it because that salty, savory flavor helps balance out the bitterness
Right.
of this, right? So
Absolutely.
we're gonna go
Well,
into
yeah,
the
those are
oven here.
looking, gonna be great.
And those guys are gonna take about 25 minutes roughly. Our simple syrup, that's working pretty good. If we get a spoon, we can see how thick we are. Yeah. So as we say to nappe, so it coats the back of the spoon. So when we pull it up, you can see that it sticks to the back of the spoon. It'll run off, but it still leaves the coat, right? That's what we're looking for. So with this guy, we can turn this off. So our simple syrup is there.
Now, you can also buy simple syrup in the store. So if you ever you're in a rush or you wanna just have it already pre-made, you can go in and buy just the simple syrup.
Yes, you can. It's located in the mixer section of
Perfect.
the liquor department of your local grocery store. It's typically where your grenadine, your margarita, or your sweet and sour mix and Bloody Mary mix is all going to be right there. So all you would do is if you did buy that, just get a little saute pan, dice up your pears, throw it in there, throw your simple syrup in there, same principle.
Okay.
Most of the time, we all have water in our house and we all have sugar in our house. That easy to make it. And like we said, what were we trying to think of what we were making in the last simple syrup that we made? How long can we hold this? If we kept the pears in there, we would want to refrigerate because the pears can grow bacteria.
Yeah.
The water and the sugar, not
Yeah.
so much, right?
Which is why when you buy it in the store, you don't have to refrigerate the simple syrup.
Correct. If we wanted to store this with the pear in it, we would refrigerate it. You pull it out, it will solidify a little bit in the cold, but when it comes to room temperature, it will be easily to work with, like honey, so to speak. I would pull the pears out and store it.
So maybe
Just-
strain it.
Yep, I would strain it so that way you're not allowing any more moisture into our contents because then it'll only be shelf stable for 7 to 10 days. After that, we'll have to discard because it may start to grow bacteria.
Right.
Okay.
Good
So
point.
we want to make sure that we stay clear of that.
Perfect.
So
What's the timer on Brussels sprouts? So
we got
can
about
set it-
25 minutes.
Should we set it? You want me to set it for you?
Sure.
You got it? Okay.
I got a mental timer in here that I
Alright.
work with every day.
Let's start it.
So what we want to do next is with our chickens, we're going to season them on our sheet pan. So all we're going to do is we're going to get our oil and our spices. We're going to lay these out with breast side up. So this would be the inside. This would be the outer side of the breast. So this is the breast side up. turn our pan on, get this guy working. Remember, we want our sear pan nice and hot,
Right,
so we can hear and we can see the color in them, right?
absolutely. So it's nice to see so many friendly faces on tonight. I know we have 11 people on from Trilogy at Birdie River, so everybody welcome. I was just out there today. It's a little hot out there, but out looking at a lot. And wanted to welcome you guys because we love having Trilogy. Pat McGuire from Fulton Homes, thank you for joining again. We love having you on. And everyone else that joined us today, we're really excited to have you guys on. And we have a couple people on for second and third times and even more.
Yeah.
So we love it. So keep requesting those bags, and everybody, thank you all for coming. And what are we doing with our chicken?
So all we've done is we've just laid it out and we've just drizzled, it says brush in there. So I've brushed it with my hand and not a brush. So same thing. All we're doing is putting a nice even little coat
Okay.
so that way our spice blend can stick to it.
Perfect.
So just trying to get a nice even on one side, and then we'll do a light dusting on the other side as well. So all depending on taste, you can go as heavy or as light as you want. Like the salt, as much as you want or as less as you want, right?
Exactly. So when you're pan searing a chicken about this size, how many minutes on each side do you think?
For the size chicken breast that we have, I would say we're gonna not like a minute, maybe.
A minute?
Yeah, you're gonna see how fast it's gonna go
Because we already have a hot pan.
for how hot that pan is. Like I said, it's just to seal the outside. So we're gonna put a little oil on our pan. And as we'll see it start to ripple, so we can tell.
How
See?
hot it really is.
Yep, so if you see, it's hard to see.
'Cause
Oh
it's
yeah,
black.
you could see where it's just starting to ripple in there, right? So where you can see it and it's not all one. Get it all the way around there. Some tongs. So as we see how the ripple is right
Oh,
here?
yeah, definitely.
That's how we can know we're about the temperature that we need when that oil's to
Perfect.
that. So we're gonna start with our biggest guys first.
And you put the seasoning side down.
First, yep, we wanna
Okay.
put that seasoned side down first. So then that way we can do our drizzle or our dusting on the other side here. So just moving them around to get a sear. Do a light little dust on the other side here.
Yeah.
Someone said that they look forward to this every month, and chef, that your recipes are very approachable, and they make several, and they also love the market updates.
Why,
Awesome. We love that.
It's hard to fathom, I guess, that we've season 3 already. It's
I
gonna be
know, I
coming
can't
up to
believe
an end,
it.
I know. So get your recommendations in for season 4, so we can
Exactly.
teach you what you're looking to make.
Because we've never repeated.
No, and it's all about, you know, what are you afraid of cooking? So
Right.
when you go out to eat, what do you order that you're not sure about cooking? And we'll see if we can't teach you how to execute it in the comfort of your own home.
Exactly.
Hey, Chef, would you do anything different if you were not using a cast iron pan?
Nope, same thing. So if we were just using a normal fry pan, I would do the same thing. I would get it a good hot temperature, add a little bit of oil in there and sear just like normal. So what we're looking for is that caramelization, that brown effect that we're getting here, right?
Right,
Nice,
that
good
looks good.
caramelization.
And you can see it on the sides too. It's starting to.
So if you see, Aaron, from this side here, you can see how we're only cooking like a little tiny bit of it, right? So we're sealing in the juices, and that's the key to it. So when I'm anywhere, I love this technique because whether it's a loin, a chop, a chicken breast, you can also sear in the oven. So if you want to sear in the oven, what you do is you turn your oven up high to 500 degrees, and it's typically 8 to 12 minutes, depending on what you're making.
Right.
Prime rib, and you got a big old rib roast, I would only say the same thing, 500, 10 minutes, turn it down to 300, let that thing ride. It's going to seal in the juices immediately, which is going to help the cooking process. And when we go to let it rest, all those juices flow back into the meat to keep it nice and juicy. So as you see here, as we flip it over, we have that good caramelization on both sides.
Yeah.
You can. I'm going to use the flour as our thickening agent for our sauce. So if you wanted to have more of a coating, you can go ahead and do so.
Okay.
So you can mix your flour into your spice blend, and it'll give it like a light, it'll give it more of a crust effect.
Okay.
Does that make
Then
sense?
just the spice
Yep,
coating.
and we're creating the crust with just the spice alone with this here. Go on to our sheet pan. We can actually, here, because we can. Let's show you what that looks like.
Do a little variety on the fly. Oh, so you sprinkle it on like that.
You can
Okay.
mix it all in with your spices would be your best bet. I'm gonna pat it down like this so that it'll stick and kind of give it that same effect.
Okay.
But you'll see when we go to pull this off, what that's gonna look like.
And it's gonna look a little bit different, so that's awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna add more of a crust to it.
More like a breading feel.
Yes, it's gonna have that breading type texture to it. When we do it, when you do this as well, it's also gonna stay in the pan. So when we go to add our lemon,
sauce?
when we go to make our sauce, it'll start thickening up on us almost immediately.
Because there's a little bit left over in the
Yep.
bottom of the pan. You can see there's a little bit around there. Interesting. It's fun to see it done different ways, just when you're in, doing it on the fly too, just to see that you can mix it up. Someone might like one seasoning better than the other,
Absolutely.
and everything your same family, so it's nice to be able to mix it up.
Because it's very versatile, right?
Right.
So as you see, the flours absorb that oil that we put in there. So we're gonna want to add just a little bit more. So when we go to do this other side, it's gonna give us the same effect. So you see how it's got a little more of a crust to it than the other one.
And quicker, I feel like.
It browns up quicker
Quicker.
because the sugar that's in the flour
That's what
is
yeah.
caramelizing faster. Yep.
Okay, that's what I was seeing, that it looked like it. But still looks very similar.
Like I said, it's just gonna give it a nice, a crispier crunch, so to speak, when we go to finish. So you see those two. Need a little more oil there.
Anybody else have any questions? We have a little bit more chicken than all of you, so it's taking us an extra minute, but any other questions with what you're doing? Share any concerns? How can we help?
How do you properly care for a cast iron?
How do you properly care for a cast iron was the question.
So how you properly care for your cast iron is you want to season it. You only wash it with hot soapy water. Okay. If you let it soak in hot soapy water, it will rust. Wash it, dry it, heat it, let it cool a little, and wipe it down with oil. So oiling it after every use is the key to keeping it seasoned, so that way we're able to do things like this. If we didn't season it, then it would just, as we added the ones with the flour there, the chicken would have stuck right to it, and we would have been struggling trying to get that chicken off the pan.
Gotcha.
So what I normally do is after I wash it, I'll dry it off. And then if you dry it immediately, it won't rust, but
Right.
you are gonna wanna season it. So if you do it right away, go ahead. But before you put it away back in the drawer or the cabinet, you're gonna wanna season. So when you go to use it the next time,
Totally ready.
it'll be ready to go, absolutely.
Yeah, is that as simple as putting oil on a paper towel and just wiping it out?
So what I would normally do is I would heat my pan up a little bit. If my oven's on, I just throw it in the oven for a little bit. I pull it out. I put some olive oil. You can use canola oil, salad oil. Coconut oil in theory should work. So any type of oil will be able to season this. I don't know if I'd get into the butter per se, but any kind of fat will be able to season this. The oil just absorbs into the cast iron to help it stay that seasoned seal, right? As what it does is it protects it from oxidizing, which causes the rust.
Gotcha.
So that's the ticket to that piece. So just a
Therein
little,
lies why it's good to warm it.
yeah,
little bit
if
more.
you don't warm it, the iron does not absorb the
Absorb it.
oil, right? If you're just gonna wipe it on there, it'll just stay on there and then it'll,
You just have oil.
yeah, absolutely.
Your oil on your
I know it's right.
pan.
All right, so you see we got some nice fond going on there.
Yeah.
We got some good seared chicken here. Nice color there.
I see a little pickup from that leftover,
The
flour
flour
that we
that's
had on
in
the
there.
bottom.
Yeah,
Just
you
from
can
this
see
batch
that.
versus the first batch.
Yep.
Kind of interesting.
So like when I do blackening seasoning, I always put a little flour in there.
Mm.
2 reasons: it creates a better crust and it gives it that blackened color
Right,
without having it all paprika,
that makes sense.
right? So with these guys, let's just pop
Okay,
these
they're
right
going in the oven
right
with
in the
our
oven.
Brussels sprouts.
Let's check on our Brussels here. Oh, these guys are looking good. Almost there. We're poking our stem here. What we're looking
Right,
for
the
is
biggest part.
nice firm or nice tender. Fork tender is really all we're looking for. So that way it's al dente for our liking. These guys are gonna go on the bottom there. We're gonna give those just a couple minutes.
Next to our sauce.
So now our pan sauce, right?
Gotcha.
So what we're gonna wanna do here is we're gonna wanna start with butter traditionally. First, what we wanna do is we want to do this, and we're gonna add the acid to our pan.
Ooh.
Turn your heat down a little bit, especially if we're using alcohol as our acid.
Yeah.
We don't wanna. But all we're doing is now we're releasing the fond, all those sugars, right? So we're only using a little bit there so that way we can slowly remove
Reduce
that
that.
from the pan.
And retain it for our sauce.
That's the whole ticket. We want all that in there because that's all the love.
And you forget about that. You just, I don't always think about releasing that. I just throw everything in the pan, and this is such a huge step.
Yeah,
The
so
flavor.
yeah, because we want to incorporate all that flavor that we created in there into our sauce,
Right.
right?
And the only way it's coming off is if you do something like that.
Yeah, you can put water in there and it'll help it a little bit, but it's not the same. When we use acid, it strips it completely so that way all of that sugar, which is the fond, is now in our sauce.
Right. Fantastic.
So we're gonna add our shallots. We're gonna turn our heat back up so we
Okay,
can.
those are just small
Sauce.
diced pieces of shallot.
Yep, just a nice mince to it. So all I've done is chop it as small and as fine as you can.
Perfect. First, you always want to add your butter.
We're gonna start with a little bit. So this is just gonna help with our sauce here, get it going. I'm gonna put this back in the fridge because it's a little soft. The reason being is we want to have cold butter for finishing our sauce. When we finish our sauce, it's called mounting. when we add cold bits of butter to our pan sauce, it'll thicken it and it'll richen it.
Okay,
So
and
it'll-
what if it was too soft? It's not gonna have
It
that
won't
same
have
thickening
this,
agent?
it will not thicken the sauce like you would like it to, yeah.
Oh, that's a great tip.
So as soon as our butter melts here, get a little saute going.
Someone asked, does everyone in Arizona just have such great hair? Apparently you're also too great.
We have good hair.
I'd like to shout out to my stylist. Thank you for the great cut. She does a fantastic job. If you need a new stylist, hit me up. We can get you connected.
We offer lots of different things with this real estate team, you guys, lots of things. So how are you guys coming along at home? Is your sauce starting to look like this? Do you have your simple syrup ready to go? Is there a process we're gonna make this cooler at some point?
I think we're
Cool enough?
we're cool enough.
So if you haven't turned that off, make sure you turn that off because we're gonna be starting for the drink soon, right as soon as we get this done.
Yeah, we want, so what we're doing now is we're just sauteing our shallot a little bit. We've already deglazed the pan a little bit. We're gonna want to add our chicken stock now.
Perfect. So with 50%?
Yes, for whatever, what's our? I'm gonna add it's 1 cup, so there's roughly a cup and a half in this can here.
Okay. Since we have a little more chicken,
Yep.
we'll make a little bit more. Perfect.
Yes, some?
Already you can see that the sauce is already coming together because you have all that falling off the bottom of the pan.
Absolutely. So we're gonna bring this to a boil, just like we did with our simple syrup. We're gonna reduce and let it simmer. Reason we want to do that is we want to get it as hot as fast as possible, and then we want to reduce it down.
Perfect.
As we reduce it, what we're doing is we are fortifying the flavors, we're thickening it, we're evaporating the moisture from our contents and only leaving the sugars, which is what helps create that sauce. So we'll get that guy rocking and rolling. Next we can move, actually, we're gonna want to put our thyme in right now.
Literally.
Yeah.
Put the time in.
Put the thyme in. 2 ways you can do it. You can just throw these guys in there.
But we want to remove the sticks, right?
You can. So if you put them in there and you boil it long enough, the leaves will fall right off, and then you can just pull these out.
Okay.
So if you're gonna be letting this go for a little while, you can just throw them all in there, and then you'll be able to
Take the
pull
little
just
sticks
these
out.
out.
Okay.
If not, since we're on a time schedule, we're just gonna take them, and all I do is I hold the end, and then I just take off the leaves like such. And then we'll be able to throw that in there. I wouldn't recommend just chopping these up because these stems, they will not soften up very well. So it'll take a long
Right.
time. So you don't
And you don't want to ruin your sauce by having some little sticks in there.
yeah, you definitely don't want to get the dentist bill from your neighbor saying you chunked his tooth, right? So a couple things, it all depends on your time. If you got time to sit around and let this go, you can just toss them in there. When I make stocks in soups, all I do is just wrap it in twine, tie it, throw it in there.
Wonderful.
All the leaves fall off. We pull out all this stem, and then it's good to go.
Perfect.
But we are going to want to get that in there now so that way we can get all this flavor into our pan sauce. So there's a little bit of the soft stem here,
Right.
just from the tips, and we're just going to chop that up because that will soften up enough so that way we don't need to get that in there. Let that guy roll. Let's take a look at our,
Couple of trays in there.
these guys, I think are gonna be good. So them are done. 165 is what they say. We're gonna wanna cook chicken to, I always say 159 and let it rest. Because if you cook it to 165, then you're gonna dry out your chicken breast. So 159, let it rest. The cook time carries over that 5 or 6 degrees and you'll be good to go. Take a look at our Brussels. See how nice and roasted these guys are getting? Ooh, they're
Great.
getting soft too. Good.
I always have a struggle with, they almost cook up too much. Is it the temperature? What's the temperature we use on
We're
this?
at 425 right now.
Okay, because you want to get them soft, but you want to overcook the outside, right?
Right, so what you can do is you could splash a little water or white wine onto there. So
Okay.
then they
Get a
steam
little more, okay,
at the same time, so they don't color as much
right.
and they'll cook faster due to this.
That's a great idea.
So the Brussels sprouts got a couple more minutes. We can go ahead and get our cocktail ready.
Perfect.
Chef?
Yes.
What's the reason for resting your chicken or meat in general?
So the reason we rest proteins after we cook it is to allow the juices to flow back into the tissue. When you cook it, all of the moisture, because the heat source from all the way around is forced to the center. It's then called the eye. So all of the moisture from that muscle is on the inside. And when we let it rest, we allow it to go back out into the meat. So your steaks, always let them rest for 10 minutes, minimum 10 minutes. Cook them just shy of your liking. So if you like it medium well, cook it to a medium and let them, or you want to cook it to medium well is going to be right about 140 will be your internal cooking temperature, and then allow it to rest so that way your medium well is all the way through from top to bottom. If you're going rare, same thing. We're going to sear. We're going to cook to about 127, 129 maybe, and then allow it to rest so that it's rare pretty much from the top to the bottom. The reason we want that resting period to happen is so that way when you go to cut, if you notice, if you pull your steak off the grill, you put it on your plate, you cut it, and all that water flows out. That's all the love. So we don't want to release those juices. We want them to be back into the protein. So when we go to eat it, it maintains nice and tender. So these guys are all good to go. Pan sauce is working. All right. So our martini.
I have ice in there. So put your ice in your shaker.
Okay. So we're going to go. Trying to decipher the best way to get our, actually,
Yeah.
no, this way.
Little plate.
No, right here. See how syrupy that is? All right. Let's see if we can make this one right. All right, so our syrup in. Strain the pears
I'm thinking
It's
that's for
up
dipping on the rim.
for the rim for
Yeah.
the sugar.
Mhm. So it's kind of a wide top glass.
And all we're gonna do is just put a little sugar in there so that way we can do our rim right.
I mean, we have to be fancy with it, right?
So you just want to wet the rim.
Yep.
And then that way
You dip it.
you can, like normal, but this one, I like to just roll it in there. So then that way it gets just on the rim and not on the inside. With martinis, people are very finicky if the sugar or salt is on the inside.
Oh, they don't like it as much.
They don't like it. It sweetens the drink.
Oh, understand. That makes sense. Until I'm not a seasoned.
Me neither.
There is our
Brussels,
butter
there's
for
our
the
Brussels sprouts. Okay. Let me sugar these guys and then we'll take a look. They should be there.
This is fun though. It'll make a fancy drink. So it's really
Yeah.
fun.
Well, and pear, who puts
Who does?
pears in cocktails, right?
Right. So fresh.
I
and
think so.
summery.
I love pears. Take a look here. So we're about almost fork tender here. Just a little bit longer, let's give them.
Perfect.
Pumpkin sauce, see how we got a nice light simmer there?
Yes, that looks amazing.
Incorporating all that flavor, right? All right, so this guy, we're gonna need 1.5 ounces of this. We're gonna need some lemon juice. About a tablespoon. There. And we're gonna need soda water, not yet. Pear syrup. So your call, we strain it or we don't strain it?
No, don't
Don't
strain
strain it? Okay, so if we're not gonna strain it, we're gonna need 2 full ounces of this. So put a little pear in there. Put a little syrup in there.
That way you have little pieces of pear, which would make it great.
If we're doing 2. Put the rest of this in
Right,
there,
for 2
double it.
glasses. Yep.
Syrup. So we don't want to put the seltzer in just yet.
Because that's the
Otherwise-
last.
It'll go everywhere. So the shake. Then, yes, it is always the hard part.
Gets cold and wants to stick on there.
So if we just put this in here,
Oh, that's a good idea.
so what we'll do is we're not necessarily gonna shake, but we're gonna shake. All we're gonna do is just incorporate those flavors. And then pear slices for garnish.
Well, that looks perfect. Like perfectly stacked on there. All right, we're gonna do just a cheers. Oh, don't want to mess that up.
Thumbs up.
Cheers to all of you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, that's really light and fresh.
Mhm.
Very good.
Yeah, letting those pears really steep in there is what's gonna make that big,
Absolutely.
right, the world of
Really good.
difference in that.
Really good. Of course, we gotta clean up my mess.
You're
A little bit of it.
Let's take a look at our Brussels here. See how we reduced this almost by half. So we started there and we can see that it's already reduced down. Brussels sprouts, look how nice roasted they are. All right, we're here. Perfecto.
A comment from the film crew, we are impressed with how you keep running that cast iron pan to their.
It takes years of practice.
Touching the high heat.
Yeah.
So while we're watching our sauce get completed here, we're gonna give you a quick market update. So Steve's joining us for this.
Hey,
So-
hey, hey.
So we've really seen our active listings go down in our MLS,
No,
which is
they're up.
great.
They're up.
Well, they just went up a little bit, but they're still
A
really
scooch up
down.
is a
Just a-
scooch up.
Okay.
So
But
we
still on
actually
the low
talk
side.
about weekly trends and monthly trends. And the weekly trend always in August and September is people go back to school.
Yes, they do.
Activity is a little less, so we had less pending sales and a few more listings.
Right.
Now, albeit the shortage of resale homes is low, but what about new homes?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. The shortage is on the resale side. So a great opportunity when you are wanting to list your home, you're amongst fewer homes for sale. So that is a great opportunity. But again, on the new home construction side, there's a lot more finished inventory ready to purchase.
Yeah, so here's the numbers. When you look at Phoenix, they aggregate all the numbers. So if you say, how many homes were sold and what's the market doing? They're gonna look at all the homes.
Mhm.
And what is the price doing? Well, when you add new homes and resale, the builders had a lot of profit. They reduced their prices
Mhm.
and they took the biggest hit, guys. They came down about probably 10% and added some incentives in addition to that.
Right.
If they're having trouble with traffic and they had some ready to close homes.
And the cycle shortened a little bit, so it created more inventory because they were selling fewer than they were finishing. So now there's a great abundance in some builders in some locations of great inventory ready to go.
And they want to get rid of them. They want to sell them, not get rid of them,
Mhm.
which means they're offering some of them 4.99%.
Which is great. It's hard to get that on a resale. So
You can never get it on a resale.
Exactly, unless.
Plus you get a 1-year warranty. And we know these are not advertised on Zillow, guys. It's only because of our connections and our relationships with the builders. If someone just canceled for whatever reason, they're moving out of state, whatever, and they left maybe 50,000 on the table because they couldn't close. Now we get a $50,000 discount, plus they lost 50, so they can go ahead and reduce it $100,000. That one house, you can take advantage of that, right?
There's always an opportunity out there.
Always. Now, one more thing, the One Move program. We are so excited because a lot of you look at new inventory and go, I don't know where I'm gonna go. So our One Move program allows you to buy, subject to you buying a new home or a new resale. So we can make sure that we buy the new home that you're going to, and you don't have to do a double move. It's a One Move program, guys. So let's just all stay together. We're gonna send you some information
Yeah.
about this, but it's one of our newest programs, One Move program, whether you're buying new or resale, and you don't have to do a double move.
Absolutely. And we have lots of opportunities out there. So we want you guys to give us a call. We'd love to let you know what your home is worth today, how you're able to incorporate the One Move program into your life. And also, don't forget about wealth building. If you love your home, and we hope you all do, and you want to stay in your home, how are you going to create
Should
and
we
build your
share
wealth?
30 seconds of what we just learned on wealth building?
Sure.
So guys, we're doing okay on building wealth, but we surround ourselves, instead of being the person at the table that's explaining to everyone, which is normally you,
Right?
we're in a new room where we're not the smartest people at the table. And the goal is to build $50 million in net worth in 30 years, no matter if you're 10 and you want it at 50, or you're 50 and you want it at 90. I know the guys at 50 go, well, you know, what am I gonna do with 50 million when I'm 90? Well, if you're 20 million at 70, which is the new 50, you're good.
Right.
So wealth building,
Mhm.
low interest rates. And here's the thing that I do, guys. I have my coloring book for the young kids. Start them off with positive sayings, positive statements, and they color it. Then I have a book called Change. And then now on October 14th, I'm doing my Quantum Leap for young adults.
Right.
which is for 12 to 18. And it really, with the first program and the second program and the third program, it's what I love and I have a passion for, giving back to your kids to groom them, create accountability and goals that they can achieve through the lessons that we've learned.
Right, and we want to share that with everyone. So it's also time to get cooking.
Let's eat.
Finish it.
All right. Wait. Chef, we talked about Pat McGuire from Fulton Homes was on our cooking channel. Don't you live in a Fulton
I
home?
just bought a Fulton home.
Aren't
Built
you
a
in
Fulton home?
Barney Farms?
I am in Barney Farm.
There's no other builder that is in there other than Barney Farms. Lake, fishing, zip line.
Resort style pool, kayaking. At the end of the block.
Wow.
Yep.
So if you want to buy a Fulton, we can help you.
All right, guys, let's get back. Let's check our sauce. See, our sauce is tightened up a lot, right? We've reduced this quite a bit, which is good. What we're gonna want to do, we're gonna want to add our butter. So I have little tablespoon pads. We're gonna bring our sauce back up to a little bit of a boil here.
Perfect. And you're cold.
Yep.
Cold butter.
And we're gonna go one at a time. Got a whisk in there, Beth?
I do. Absolutely.
So we're just gonna do one pat at a time, nice and cold.
So it's nice to watch that as a thickening agent. You can see that it's different. I really can see it now. It's different than when you put it in warm.
Oh, absolutely. As soon as so this is mounting. What we're doing is we're adding that butter flavor and we're also thickening it up so that way it can coat the back of the spoon.
Nice. How are you guys doing at home? Are you guys along the same timeline as we are? And what did you think of that Pear Martini? I'd love to hear some feedback on that. And if anyone's done, don't forget to share your photos.
So you can see as we've added that, the thickness in that sauce that we've got just by adding those two little pads. We're gonna just do one more. So as soon as we get, like we said, to that boil.
Yep, looks great. It's also with the butter getting to a lighter color now.
Mm-hmm. The viscosity is changing.
Viscosity, thank you for that. Big word we're using today. Love it.
French cooking.
Wonderful.
So then we want to get that there. Turn that guy off. Got our roasted Brussels sprouts.
Yep.
We're gonna want to take some honey. We're gonna want to just do a light drizzle over.
You know what? Honey is so versatile. I like to just a little bit, drip a little over my salmon.
Honey, y'all, I love it much better than adding sugar. So like
Yes.
that and agave nectar syrup. Oh
Love
man.
that.
So just a little bit of balsamic too. A little more acidity there. And then with these guys, all we're gonna do is just kind of lightly toss them after we season them. Make sure that honey and balsamic gets on all
Yeah,
of
that's
those.
awesome.
So this piece here for our plate up. I wanted to do something real fast. So now that our sauce is done, I'm just gonna remove it real quickly. Into a bowl. Because what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna char a lemon for our garnish. Get all that love in there. So once I've dumped that out, I'm gonna just turn our pan on to hot, as hot as we can get it, real quick, real fast. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna stick our lemon in there. So we have a charred lemon that we can freshly squeeze right over the top of our pan-seared chicken.
Wow. So tell me why char it. What's the difference? I mean, obviously it's gonna look different if you want to use it as a garnish. But what does it do to the lemon?
It extracts the sugars, so it gives it a roasted flavor
Oh,
very, very instantly.
okay. So when you squeeze it over, it's gonna a different flavor.
Correct.
Okay.
So once we
interesting.
char it, we then change the flavor profile that we're adding to our chicken.
All right, I can honestly say we've never tried that before, so I'm excited to see. And take your seeds out. All right, seeds out.
Once it gets nice and hot, just gonna get there in just a moment. So like doing this on the grill. Yeah.
I know, I've seen people do it on a grill before. This is just. didn't know
Same
you could do it in the
same
concept,
concept, yeah.
Especially cast iron.
So all I'm doing is just lightly pressing it so that that way we can put it to the heat as best as possible.
Oh,
See?
lovely.
So we're almost there. Let's let it go a little bit longer. I feel the heat coming through the lemon. That means it's working.
Perfect.
Let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, we got a
Oh, that looks
nice
lovely.
color there. So let's let that rest for a second.
All right.
Put some of our Brussels sprouts here. Put one of our chicken breasts.
There's a big spoon in the end, a big black one.
How much color we
Wow.
got there.
Yeah.
So by roasting it, right, we're charring it
Right.
high heat really, really fast.
Looks great. And I love that you just don't need too much sauce. You want a little bit, but you don't need to put too much on there.
Right, so sauce complements, right?
Mhm.
We don't want to overpower it. We just want to complement it.
Lovely.
We didn't use garlic tonight.
Oh.
We
Which is
replaced
something
it
we
with
typically-
shallots. And just like that. Nice pan-seared chicken with the pan sauce, roasted Brussels sprouts. Pair
Pear
that with some
Martini.
risotto, pear martini. Wow.
That looks amazing. Be sure you guys share your photos. We'd love to see what you've cooked tonight, and we'd love to see you back. Our next event is September 28th. So definitely join us. Please register. We'd love to see all of you with us. And Steve has something else to share.
So I have a passion for giving back. I mean, it's gonna make me cry, you know that, right?
Absolutely.
So for the young kids, it starts with the coloring book. And the coloring book is illustrated by Drew Brophy, which is a famous surf artist. And the whole theory behind the book is to practice your penmanship and write down a positive statement, and then enjoy the positive affirmation of coloring. So this is probably 4 to 6 years old. Then 6 years old, maybe that early, you know, they're 5 going on 15. You're going, oh no, these kids are changing. They get a little confused. They're not really sure. We have a very short book that shows you how to change. So this is for the kids that are you know.
That's actually the young and the old.
Yeah,
So
doesn't,
it's
even
everybody.
the old. I've used
Absolutely.
this actually for coaching Alcohol's Anonymous. And then for young adults, I'm doing this on October 14th, 10:30 to 12:30, I think it is, or 1:30. This course teaches young kids how to think. And so guys, this is how we give back. It's our passion. We give back through the belly.
That's right.
We give back through education. And Beth gives back through opportunities. If you need to make money, build wealth, sell your house, buy a house, this lady is the best.
We're
there
here to
is.
help, and we'd love to help all of you, and we want to thank you again for joining us. Don't forget Chef Jude, if you have an event, a party coming up. We know that everyone's really busy right now with school coming in and just staying out of the heat.
Plan your
But-
holidays now.
That's
He's
right.
getting
It's
booked
just
up.
fall is around the corner. And we're getting close to a close of our season 3, so we're super excited to see what we have left at the end of this year. We only have 3 more months. And
Family photo shoots. Guys, family photo shoots is what he's been doing with the theme of a meal. So you can create memories for life by actually having the kids participate, the parents participate, you eat and have professional photos done. Chef,
Absolutely.
come on.
And we also have events coming up, so stay in tune with us. We'll make sure we send everything out to you to let you know of upcoming events. So everybody have a great dinner, enjoy, and we'll see you next month.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.